Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Well, today again I decided to look through and maybe do a mini review of a deck that doesn't get enough of my airtime and that it should. It's a fairly recent deck called The Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. He's from the UK. And I purchased this deck, well, not too long after it was released, and it is an exceptional deck. I have many decks, and this one is, like some of my other ones have a unique spin on tarot, and I think one that liberates tarot rather than pigeonholes tarot. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. And I believe I've watched Stephen's videos on YouTube, and I really liked the manner in which he was described the deck, I think, and he has shown such detail, attention to detail in the box. The box, the design of the box itself is beautiful, and it's one of those boxes that have a magnetic closure on it. And there's the short bio of Stephen and a picture of Stephen. He looks just like that on the video. And it comes with a booklet. Now the booklet again is so well done. It's a good size, and it's not just a paper insert that will fall apart. And it's, again, the attention to detail. I didn't quite read the booklet through. That's why it looks somewhat brand new. But I usually don't do that with books, but with decks. But it comes with an insert that's colored insert of each card. I think even for the minors or the minor arcana. And I find it is one of the more intuitive decks that I use. When before the pandemic, and I would bring my tarot bag to a central location, and I'd have readings throughout the day. And I would bring in my tarot bag, I'd usually bring maybe a dozen different types of decks, standard, because that's what some people want, the RWS or nothing. If it's not RWS, it's not real tarot. So I always comply with that and let them pick. And Stevens' a deck is one of the ones that I keep within that bag. But I very rarely have read with it, unfortunately, other than me personally finding out about the deck itself. But I have read with it though, and it's a charming deck. It's subtle, but in ways that unmask stuff within us, even though things are in silhouette. It brings things really out into the open. At least it does for me. So the booklet is quite well put together for those that are beginning their tarot journey. It's a good booklet to begin with, and it is not a bad deck it's a great deck for those who already are familiar with tarot. I highly recommend it. For beginners, I always I tend to go for RWS or some similar clone for, so they learn the symbology all at once, and then they can sort of branch out and pick up any deck they want. Anyway, so there's the booklet, and like I said, it's a nice box, and with the bio on the inside, and the card, and it's from Schiffer, I believe. Just a second, I did put the cards in order before the video, but I believe it's a Schiffer. I think it says My Bad Eyes. Yeah, Schiffer Publishing. I have some other decks. Some of them I didn't quite care for the amount of lamination and gloss, but this one is glossy, but it's done in a nice way, really, because the cards are fairly sturdy and not so thick you can't riffle. I'm a riffler from a long time back. I like to fully randomize the cards, because I think that's one of the keys to how tarot systems or any system of divination. But as you can see, the the individuals or key components of the cards are pictured in silhouette. And in a way that, well, it does, not in a way, it does. It circumvents some problems with reading cards, with not having, age-appropriate characters or gender-appropriate or sexual orientation-appropriate or racial-appropriate figures within the card. In this way, in silhouette, they can be any race or gender. And I like that. And also, it helps when I find I read faces in cards as long as they have the ability to change. That sounds weird, but sometimes you can look at a face in a card and then you see it one way in a reading, and then maybe a month later it comes up in someone else's reading and you see the face completely differently. And well, I find even though this doesn't show faces, it affords that. It's the same thing. I feel that the frequency or the flavor of the card comes out more in this deck. Yeah, I truly like reading it for myself, and but I fear it didn't get a lot of airtime, and it should. So anyway, that was the Fool, and you have to see the Fool. I'm not going to interpret the cards because they're all standard meanings, but about to make that leap of faith. And then we have the Magician. That's a nice, what I like about this stance too, because is he facing us or is he facing away? Or, it depends on how that shadow looks like. And it's like those tests, the one way you see an old woman and you're still looking at it, and then you see a younger woman's face. Sort of like that. But I like that where it shows a more of a world focus of the Magician rather than us looking at the Magician at a table. To me, he looks that he's looking out, but he could be looking towards us. But right now, to me, he's looking that way. Tomorrow may be different. And to me, it's sort of like an outward focus of the Magician. And that's what the Magician does. You pull what's out of your mind and make it into reality. And that's what we're all magicians. The High Priestess, I think that's a gorgeous card, and shows her with traditional stance, usually with, there is a curtain, I guess the slight coloration, so she's sitting in front of the curtain on the crescent moon with the pillars, and you can see the cards are borderless, and just the title in the bottom, but the title is not in it doesn't interfere. It doesn't pop out like in some cards. So I think it's very well done. The Empress. Now, some decks, of course, take the bent of looking at the more of the harsh side and the sternness of motherhood. You see those pictured as queens, and in some decks, maybe they're Napoleonic. It'll be Josephine. That will be the Empress, of course, and she was literal Empress. But this is a mothering a card. It's a nurturing, a fertility card, of course, and this is so well done. And the Emperor. Hey, I'm in charge here. Cool. The Hierophant. You see it you can sort of see in silhouette that we have an instructor and two of the students. It has it doesn't have all the symbology RWS, but has the essential frequency of this card. The Lovers. Yeah, that's nice. This definitely, of course, shows the human attraction part of the Lover's card. But the Lover's card is for us. Each one is an individual finding something that, some even say it's the discovering of our inner self, our quest.
chariot, and it's the young person is on a skateboard, and I don't know if he just came up the hill. That'd be kind of fun, or going down. Looks like he's going down. That's why I like silhouette, because in some instances it may look like he's coming towards you. After in some readings, could be if this was a hill after a struggle. Strength. Oh yes, and there's no numbering. If I failed to say, there's no numbering on the majors. And so for those who need strength to be 11 and justice 8, or vice versa, strength 8 and justice 11, you can do, yeah, it's the deck is amenable to that. So the little figure and then lion becoming nose to nose. It's amazing. I'm always in awe of artists and people that can create from their minds written on paper. Yeah, that's beautiful too. There's with this hermit, there's such a vibe of I self-discovery is what I got, self-discovery. But this card also, with the hermit, I always have a little bit of a lonely thing, right? And that's sort of reflected in one of the lower cards in the 9 of coins, which is a card of being self-sufficient, doing it yourself. But there's also seems to be a loneliness in that card too, and this is a 9 as well. Food for thought. The Wheel of Fortune, or the Wheel of Fate, it turns, and sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down. The farther you're away from that central pivot point, the more even little changes are felt extremely, right? They're magnified. But if you're close and centered, keep yourself centered, even big changes, you don't really experience it. Justice. This is a good justice card. I think, when people put the blindfold for justice is blind, this justice is blind. This is the karmic justice, in my opinion. So you're about to get, this guy is about to reveal the truth. And if you've been bad, and this is one of the, except that a lot of times I like to do this so I can see what the face is. But of course, there's no faces in this deck. But hanging from the tree like that, you can, if you subscribe to the notion that this is more of a punishing card, or then that's, that could be like that way. But it's a patience card to me, seeing something differently. You need to slow your horses down. The Death card. Isn't this a great take on Temperance? Temperance is just that. It's mixing. It's taking the middle way. Don't be too far one way or the other. But that's great. The DJ mixing music. And the Devil. Looks like a child reaching up. Oh yeah, there's also like a echo of the title, larger and sort of projected towards the back. Tower. That one is not so scary, but that's still, the card can be problematic to experience, but star, that's nice. The color palette that's used is beautiful. I think it's beautiful for the deck. It's not quite like anything I have, at least that I can remember. offhand. The sun looks like Stonehenge, greeting the noonday sun. Judgment, very traditional, but you can sort of see, look, and it's actually like a modern day I don't know what that's called, trumpet. And but it has all the, like I said, has all the symbolism, but it is fun to read. The readings I've done, like for people other than myself with this deck, like I said, I keep it with me when I go. Not lately, of course, because of what's going on in the world, but um, I let them pick my clients, and so they don't often pick this, and it's unfortunate. And but the ones that have, the readings have been really fun too. There's been a lot of laughing, so I can recall from the deck. So even though it's silhouette and seems to want to milk out our subconscious, but the suits have each suit has its own similar color tones. There's a orangey reddish hue to the Ace of Wands, and again you can see it echoed on the card, but it's very unobtrusive. Two Wands. Looks like a soccer ball, but I think if you look closely, it's the world, probably. I would predict. Yep. See? I'm not as stupid as I look. There you go. I think I'll make a new pile. Just because I can. Three of Wands. This is a great depiction. Three of Wands. The Ace, 2, and 3, I often, no matter if it's Ace, the Ace comes out, or the, well, not so much the Ace, but if the 2 comes out for somebody, or the 3 comes out for somebody, the 3 comes out for somebody, they've already been through the 2 stage and the 1 stage. So that's always interesting to add that to someone's reading for detail for them. They like that. But this is, you've already done two of Wands, so now it's just to see. A little bit of a assessment in that card. It's not the main card of assessment, but it takes 4 to have 3-dimensional space. So this is the creation of something tangible here. So it's not like a new kind of friendship like the 2 of Cups, or can't smell it or anything, or taste it, or those emotions, but the 4 of Wands denotes the creation of something tangible. The tradition has it, of course, that it's a marriage card, but often it is setting up. It could be even 2 people setting up a new company, or 2 people buying a new house, or setting up a new house, or some sort of celebratory thing where something is manifested. 5 of Wands, very typical. This does look like more like strife or conflict. Some of the other 5 of Wands you could almost look at as friendly conflict, but I'm not getting too much friendly. I don't think he's not being too friendly. He looks like, well, I guess he could be doing a little bit of a Watusi or something. This is great with 6 of Wands. 6 of Wands is a victory card. It's a leadership card. You can see how you can not... Sometimes a card will come up. I don't know about you guys, but a card will come up, and it just seems so inappropriate, and for the question, even though every other card in the 10-card spread is fine, there's an oddball. Not every time, and not even, well, it's even less than rare. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And I find that this deck would, I don't know, it's more, our minds can be more pliable with this deck. 7 of Wands. 8 of Wands. Things in the air about to come though. 9 of Wands. It's nice. So you see, it's a the tones are sort of an orangey, reddish, but orangey palette. It's a soft palette that was chosen. I think it works very well. This is so, if not all of all the court cards, this mine, pages are the least likely to represent person. They can, young person, a person being naive, a person starting out in something new where he feels like a child, uneducated in something. But a lot of times it's just the energy that's of a situation. Dynamic, young. Knight of Wands. Queen of Wands. Thank you, Stephen, for putting in the cat. There's, any time that this card comes out. See, how I view the Queen of Wands, I view her as Aries. And a lot of times the card that comes out for the person, and if she is an Aries, hooray, but if it comes out standing for her, I'll ask, I said, does she have a cat? And like I said before, it's so many times they say yes. Because I think cats are Aries creatures. And then the King. Looks like a director on a set. And that's a good analogy, because that's exactly what the King of Wands does. Now we have more of a lightish blue color for the water suit, the cup suit. So we have the Ace. Isn't that nice? And the 2 of Cups. Three of Cups. I guess you can read. This is interesting. Instead of having the hand coming out, because this, if you remember your RWS deck, this guy's under a tree, and he's he's sitting with his arms crossed and his legs crossed, I believe. And then there's this hand coming into the cloud, offering the cup, just like this waiter is offering a cup. But, it's a very good depiction. He just seems, nah, I don't care. That's what the card, that's the energy of the card. Nah, I don't care. Yeah, whatever. Just leave it there. You lose ambition and energy with this card. 5 of Cups. Kind of looks like a silhouette of a friend of mine, but yeah. But that's again, feel the emotional. I think it helps when we see that the image is not of an identifiable person, that we can actually look at that, and because he's sort of unknown, and maybe our subconscious can identify more and put ourselves in that position. But it's, how would you feel if this was you? So you must be feeling not the best, but reflective, sad, regretful, of course. That's usually something we did. 6 of Cups. Always for me, this is a past card. Nice memories, childhood friends, people you haven't seen for a while, people from home, people from your hometown. It's also security, and this is wonderful how it is. Not a care in the world. Those two little people. Wonderfully done. And the 7 of Cups, the daydreaming card. But There's a danger in this card, of course, because if you get lost in there and you don't, you gotta make those things come. You can't just, so you get lost in your dreams. But it shows you, you just feel that feeling. Contemplating next steps could also mean that. Eight of Cups. This certainly does have a going away feel to it. Yeah. It's a sadness, but the sadness is sort of like the sadness in the Death card. Is that you're sad over, what is, rather than being happy of what should be or what will be. But you're now going. Nine of Cups. Gregarious card. Sorry, that was a little quick. Ten of Cups. Again, it could be male, male, female, female, or any race. So I like that idea. Page. There's the fish. Really nice use of the elements in each of the cards, whether it's the water or the fire. This guy looks like the one that was underneath the bridge, probably. The Five of Cups. It looks like him. And I'm not surprised, because the Knight of Cups would probably find himself forlorn a lot in his life, because they're the lovers and the questers of love. So they'll experience lots of heartache and give a lot of heartache. So you'd be under the bridge. Oh. Yikes. I'm being sloppy. All right. The Queen of Cups. That's very nice. So you have the nice water. And the coloring is, I don't know how well this is recording the coloring, but this looks differently. It's more like that. Well, no, it's more purpley. That makes it more bluey, but King. And not that it matters, but in Lenormand it does matter, but whether they face each other or not. And then we get the swords. Ace. Looks like he's coming for battle, but this is a indecision card. You often see the moon, right? The moon in this card, and it's a timing thing, really, because each of these cards represent a certain time frame over the year, a certain number of days. Well, for this, it's when the moon is in Libra, is the card timing on that one. But it's allowing your it's a battle, your heart and your head, and your head's going to win because logic's going to work out. Maybe that's the best, but we should allow our hearts to do that. And there's someone who maybe did and got a wounded heart. The 3. It's a nice depiction rather than the heart being stabbed. And you see that this individual's heart was hurt. The 4. Now this is unambiguous. I like it. The RWS, when it shows them in the sepulcher, people think that they're dead, or it's a statue or something. I like this because this is obviously a sofa. And I hope someone says, no, it's supposed to be a coffin. No, it's a sofa. And because that's what this card is, mental rest. Although it can, like I said, on some occasions, surgery and
recharging our batteries. The 5. That's a very traditional looking card. The Bully. It's always having to be right. Always having to be right. Those people that, I don't care, that makes you cry. Hang on, as long as I'm right. And then you cry, then I feel badly about it, but can't help it. It's those people like that. So sometimes it's not always extremes. Like people, the devil card will come up sometime. People go, oh, wow, he's not that bad. But, but it's probably the closest meaning that a 78 card deck could come to what it's trying to say. And the 6, going to better, but bringing the swords, don't do that. The 7, I've talked about this guy before. Traditionally the sneaky sneak, the cheater card, the adulterer, but it's the person that has secret plans for some reason. If it's nefarious, then he's a crook. But sometimes you have to keep your cards to your chest. The 8 of Swords. That's a really nice image. I'm just surprised that more and more people are using this deck, really. 9 of Swords. 10 of Swords. But really, for somebody who is new, that does not want to make a lifelong study of tarot, but isn't that something, the people, you that are watching this, probably experience the same thing. And maybe you didn't think you're going to have a lifelong study of tarot, but here we are. But if you didn't want to learn all the symbolism, and you can always go back, this wouldn't be a bad deck for a beginner, because I think they may find it easy to read if they're connected to themselves, I guess, be able to read emotion in the cards. But I could be all wrong about that. Here comes your knight in shining armor. He looks like he's just ready too. And then the Queen. Almost has, I guess, because the arches and stuff in the back, those pillars. And it almost has a feeling of being in Leonardo da Vinci's studio, and that's the Mona Lisa just sitting there waiting for the artiste to come back. That's Queen of Swords, beautifully done. The pondering, she's very wise, truthful. And the King of Swords, wow. Very long sword, because truth and justice is very important for the mind stuff for a lot of people who are focused through the mind. So, the suit of swords would represent the air suits. So there'd be, the Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra are the air suits. And here we have the final suit. And you see that there's... Wait, now, I didn't even tell you what the colors were. Well, it's sort of like it's a yellow. It's a yellow, but it's muted. It really is nice. And let's see, maybe I'll do something different. And now for something completely different. The Ace of Pentacles. Isn't that great for the Two of Pentacles on the unicycle? For balance, the ideal of balance. Three of Pentacles, that's nice too. It's a modern take. Even though some of the images look, like those arches, there's a very modern feel to this deck. I feel it's very modern, and it's great. If you're one that will give the client the querent choice of a deck, or maybe you don't give them a choice. You use the deck that you bring. This is a really nice one to read for people, especially for people who haven't had their decks, their tarot done very often or not at all. Some of them, of course, like I said, even the ones that never had it done, they have in their mind what tarot cards look like, and it's usually the cards from the RWS deck. But if you can surmount that, this is a excellent deck to read for if you have a client base. They would like it because they can start seeing stuff and not worry about, is it right? Is it right? He's angry. Am I right? Well, if it was drawn in and he was smiling, it's hard to say he's angry, but with it like that. So it's almost like some Rorschach tests, or the ink, is that what it's called? Or ink blot tests? You start seeing stuff that brings out stuff. 5. He's walled in, eh? No hope, huh? There's always hope. There's always a way. 6 of Pentacles. It reinforces the generosity of someone putting a coin into a container, a begging bowl, or an alms dish or something. That's nicely done. It illustrates 2 things with this card. I don't want to sound like a broken record from my other videos, but sometimes it bears repeating. But here we have the 6 being denoted this way, and if you remember the RWS deck, you have a fairly well-dressed individual and 2 people that are kneeling, and the individual that's well-dressed is holding a scale and putting coins into one of the people that are on their knees into their hands. And it is a giving card, and that's what's being denoted by here. But it's always from one level to another. And so the giving may not always be money, but it's something of security, because that's the suit. Pentacles. So I like the way that Stephen did that. But and especially since it's not going from side to side, it's from up down, about this hierarchy or in different levels. This is, I think, a better depiction of the what I believe is the the vibration behind the 7 of Pentacles. And this definitely looks like someone who was looking and seeing and assessing. This is the Lord of... I keep forgetting to look that up. I used to know all of them. The Lord of something unfulfilled. Lord of success unfulfilled. I think that's the esoteric title of this card. So it says unfulfilled. So, depending on what system Pamela Smith used, because I don't think that was quite her system, but this to me is how this card has evolved in my understanding. This shows you more of the key. The other meanings about some growth and almost there, almost done, they can also be true and serve well. But I find that the key thing with this card is looking at what is happening and what it's doing and what it's done, and seeing whether it was worth the effort. And it's still on the bush, like it's not done yet. So you could even at this point pull the plug on these plants. Oh, that's hard to say. Pull the plug on these plants. The 8 of Pentacles, as opposed to 3. 3 is Master Craftsman. This one is the it's the one that's diligent working, making money. The 9 of Pentacles. See, she's by herself, but she's well-to-do, and she has a lot of money on her feet, a lot of security around her, and fence shows security too. So she's done it.
The little bird. Often if it's associated, again, this has a bird, and someone I know very well had a little budgie. And often this card came out meaning that person because of the budgie that was there. But the budgie's long since passed. Ten of Pentacles. That's a nice traditional card. Easy to get meanings from that. Page of Pentacles. That's very very earthy. We have playing soccer with the pentacle. And the coloring is it's just so nice. I wish I didn't have the green on here, but the Knight. Oh, he's out mowing. These guys are, and these people, guys or gals, whatever, they are very dependable. They may not be the most exciting, chocolate in the box, but they're a good one to get. Queen of Pentacles. She's sort of the Queen of Pentacles is sort of very much shares a lot of the Empress of all the queens. She shares the most with her. And in this plane, anyone who is the Queen of Pentacles in the system I use, it's Capricorn of a certain vintage or certain dates. And they always love gardening and children. They're just like they are like Mother Nature's, really. And then we have, oh, this is a great depiction. Then we have the King of Pentacles, King of Money. So he can sit back, relax. He's attained it. There he is. There's his goal. The world is his oyster. Well, I think that's it. Although, is these from earlier? Oh yeah, that's earlier. Oh, so that's the look at Stephen Bright's Spirit Within Tarot. I like it from start to finish. I like the packaging as well. Normally, I put decks within bags, but if they come with a nice, I don't bang around the boxes either, but if they come with a nice secure box like this, then I like to put it in here. And he's kind of cute too, eh? So we want to kind of put him here. So anyway, so thank you for watching, and I hope that everyone has a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye.